FM 98.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wavelength. I'm your host, Dave Otto, and as always, we're simulcasting on 98 KUPD. Tonight, Jay Giles Band, Berlin, Modern English, April Wine, George Clinton, an interview with a psychedelic furs, a rare video from Joni Mitchell. But we want to tell you about something coming up. We'll have more details later on in the show, but just a little teaser right now. Wavelength and Rolling Stone Records are going to give two of you a chance to win a trip to the US Festival coming up the end of this month into June. Or is this is April? No, end of May into June. Anyway, we'll have more details on that coming up in just a few minutes, so be listening and watching. Right now, we're going to start things out with Tom Petty, You Got Lucky on Wavelength. All right, that was Joni Mitchell and the Chinese Cafe. That's from her Geffen album that she just recorded for that label. And before that, we saw Berlin Metro, a couple of good-looking ladies. Incidentally, Joni Mitchell will turn 40 soon. Boy, she looks pretty good for that age, huh? Coming up next on Wavelength, Spandau Ballet. Stick with us. Evening Star asked me to thank each and every one of you for making Bob Seger a sellout show. Also coming up from Evening Star, Tuesday, May 26th, is Return to Forever with Chick Corea, Stanley Clark, Al DiMeola, and Lenny White. That's at the Mesa Amphitheater. And Saturday, May 30th, at the University of Arizona Main Auditorium in Tucson, it's Peter, Paul, and Mary. If you'd like concert information, call the Gonzo line at 967-1040. Once again, thank you from Evening Star.
KUPD with Wavelength in stereo.
The US Festival 83 is coming up at the end of May, and I'm just going through the little pamphlet here. What a lineup. Saturday, May 28th, The Clash, Men at Work, Stray Cats. May 30th, David Bowie, Pretenders, Stevie Nicks. You've got Van Halen, Joe Walsh on the 29th. All kinds of great entertainment at the Glen Helen Regional Park over in California. And along with Rolling Stone Records, we're going to give you the opportunity, along with a friend, to go to the US Festival. We'll take care of the whole thing for you. Transportation, what are we doing? We're giving them cab fare over to the interstate, and then they thumb the rest of the way. Is that? No. Oh, we're gonna cover it all the way and back. Okay. Hey. Okay. This is uptown stuff. You get round-trip transportation. We'll take care of the accommodations and, of course, the tickets to get in. So what you have to do is answer 4 vid quiz questions correctly. The one tonight and the following 3 shows. And then you put them all down on a postcard and send them in to us. We'll have a drawing. The winning drawing gets trip for 2 to the US Festival. Everything taken care of. So that's the way that works. We'll have that vid quiz. The first vid quiz question coming up in just a bit. Right now, Spandau Ballet on Wavelength. In that video sweep, we saw Spandau Ballet, Lifeline, and then it was April Wine, Enough is Enough, and finally Modern English, I Melt With You. They'll be in town next week with Berlin in concert. I want to catch that one. Now it's time for our first vid quiz question, and keep track of your answer. You want to write it down with the other 3 answers that you had later on, and then send those in a postcard to win that trip to the US Festival. Here's the question. What's the name of the keyboard player for Tom Petty's band, the Heartbreakers? The keyboard player's name. Now, he also played on Stevie Nicks' 1981 Belladonna album. That's a hint for you. So the name of the keyboard player for the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. All right, we'll be right back with more Wavelength. Once again from Evening Star, May 1st and 2nd at Pony Express is Alvin Bishop. Now, we know you don't want to miss that one. May 4th, Evening Star brings you Roxy Music at the Mesa Amphitheater. And May 5th is Hall & Oates with OXO at the Coliseum. Also in May is Adam Ant with In Excess on the 13th. And the Comedy of Millie Jackson on the 15th. Get your tickets soon. You know what happened with Bob Seger.
TV3's Wavelength in stereo on FM 98 KUPD.
Welcome back to Wavelength. Your TV never sounded so good. Next up, we have an interview with the Psychedelic Furs. We're going to be talking with Tim and Richard Butler. But first, we're going to show one of their videos. This is Run and Run from the Psychedelic Furs.
To the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
We're talking about videos. Tell me about your two new videos.
Well, we did them it was about Christmas in New York, and we finished the first leg of the tour, so we had some time off, so we decided to do two new videos, seeing as Run and Run's going to be the follow-up single to Love My Way. We did one for that and one for Sleep Comes Down, which we've just been talking about, the very sort of psychedelic one.
Did you guys get involved at all in the conceptual aspect
of
that?
We work on the storyboard. When we do videos, we always involve ourselves with getting a storyboard together with the producer.
You've had a couple notable producers of your albums. Your last two albums speak Lillywhite and Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, David Bowie also, again expressed an interest in us recently. Really? Expressed an interest in us just before we did Talk, Talk, Talk. He was going to do that one, but he was busy, and he came to see us in Sydney while we were in Australia. And he, expressed an interest. We may be playing some dates with him. It depends, if our schedule fits in with what he's doing. If we sort of cross paths around anywhere, we'll do it.
Your new album is doing really well.
After a period of time.
Yeah, I noticed it has been slow. We played your video quite a while ago, and it's just finally now it's starting to get a lot of airplay, which is really nice.
It takes a long time to work things up in America. It takes, it seems to be that one has to go out and tour and promote yourself to the audience as such, and it's just that now things seem to be starting to happen, which is real good. But for us, the thing like the record's like 7 or 8 months old. We're looking forward to the next project, and everyone's just picking up on the last one.
You have an advantage.
Hello there, and welcome once again to Wavelength. I'm your host, Dave Otto. We're simulcasting here on 98 KUPD, back in the saddle for another hour of great rock videos. Billy Squier, Billy Joel, Def Leppard, Musical Youth, Toto Coelho, The Clash, Nick Lowe. We're going to start out with the Cars lead singer, Rick Ocasek. Writes all of their material, and when he writes, when he composes, he does it with rhythm in mind, uses a lot of drum machines. However, this is from his solo album. This is called Something to Grab For. Rick Ocasek on Wavelength.
That's one of the things I'm so proud of with Missing Persons. We're doing something that's new and modern, and it's changing the way radio is in the United States. Because we're one of the only modern bands that's as accessible as we are. We're out there trying to make friends. We're not dealing with, discordant harmonies and odd time signatures or things that alienate people. Political subjects or bad news subjects or negative subjects which tend to bring people down and we feel get crammed down their throat 24 hours a day. We're just offering good sound entertainment that's a visual spectacle and that is hopefully, presented in a modern and unique way. And it is changing the way radio is in America, which up until now has been very dominated by sort of 10-year-old heavy metal or bands that are brand new that sound like 10-year-old heavy metal. And I'm happy to say that we're standing up on our own and sort of opening people's minds and opening radio's minds in the United States.
How did you guys get into the music scene in Los Angeles? What was the evolution into getting into it?
From the ground up, as they say.
Yeah.
From those terrible little clubs that they call rock clubs that really aren't, but it's a place that you could only get a gig at because everywhere else you have to be established. So you start in those really terrible places and play and try to convince everyone that you're really happening. And so what we did was started to complete a formation in every club we went into, set up a stage show, complete visual reincarnation.
Yeah, we covered the stage with plastic. I started to design like fluorescent or neon light structures and stuff, which we used as a backdrop. Dale designs her own costumes, which are really ridiculous. They're usually made out of plexiglass or plastic or airline tubing or records or coconuts or something that's normally not used as clothing. And she changes her costume and designs a new one for practically every show. And through that, we were almost changing our stage show and Dale's costumes and the whole presentation from gig to gig, like another band like Queen would do, say, from tour to tour. So kids were always excited and wondering, what are they going to do next, you know? And we built up our audience that way to the point where we sold out the Santa Monica Civic, which is a 4,000-seat venue in Los Angeles, without even being signed.
Ah, excellent piece from Missing Persons, along with that exclusive interview from the Wavelength crew. Good work, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Well, we'll be right back with more Wavelength, so don't go away, huh?
Dave, you look terrible. Anita, get some Kleenex, medicine, something. Go in there and help him.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Couldn't you have waited until we got into the break there? Did you have to do it while I was up? Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Jeez, what? Nothing like, oh, thank you, Anita. Oh, you got you got this? Oh, can I have a sip of that tea, dear? Thank you. It's hot. It's good and hot. Want to hold that for me? Would you hold this for me? And could you hold the box for me here? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, next up on Wavelength, we've got Saga from Canada and the interview with John Anderson, and we have a video from Asia. And we spoke with John Anderson, and he reminisced about the group Yes, and he talked about working with the creator of Chariots of Fire, Vangelis. Of course, John Anderson, one of the founders of Yes. The other members of that group included Steve Howe and Rick Wakeman, Chris Squire, and tell me the other one, Jeff Downs. Yeah, of course, Howe and Downs went on to form Asia with Carl Palmer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And incidentally, that Asia album, that debut album, was the biggest selling debut album according to Billboard magazine. Quite a seller. So, let's get rolling. Excuse me, we're just so... Yeah, let's get rolling with Saga from Canada on Wavelength. John Anderson by Jeff Peretz.
Do you find that making records on your own obviously be different from the group experience with Yes? Is it more productive or easier?
It's as productive, and it's never easy. It's one of those things. It's always a difficult situation, especially when you've got to be conscious of your own needs to enjoy the music you make. And then if you're going to pass them on to someone else by recording them and releasing them to someone else, and someone else is going to pay for the privilege of hearing something, there's got to be a little pain you go through to make sure it's right. And you hope it's right, because all that you're trying to do is entertain someone. It's just my way of looking at things. So it's never that easy to make music, but that is the joy. Energy is eternal delight. You're always striving to do better things all the time.
Now, vocally, you've always had a very distinct vocal approach in Yes throughout the years, and now surfacing, of course, in the animation tour. How does it seem to you vocally? Sounds to me that you've improved over the years, and your voice has developed even more so.
I like to think that when you sing, expression of voice and so on, it's something that you either have the gift or you've got to work on it. I really never felt I had a gift. Michael Jackson, the guy, and Stevie Winwood, Stevie Wonder, all these very great singers seem to have it naturally. My voice is something that I've worked over the years, and like an opera singer who reaches his peak around 40, I've got 2 more years, and I'll be getting to that kind of peak where I feel that I'll be doing possibly and hopefully my best vocal work.
You've been quite busy with the animation album, now the animation tour, and you even did some work with Vangelis, a couple albums, including The Friends of Mr. Cairo. How did you originally meet up with him?
Vangelis, I was a fan of Vangelis around '71 when I first heard his music, and he was probably one of the original keyboard players, a person who would be very ambidextrous about playing different kinds of sounds and creating an orchestral sound. And if you listen to his early albums, around 70, 71, 72, he was making music which holds up today. So I went to Paris to meet him because I was very interested in the kind of music that he made. And I was very interested in kind of following his approach to music. He doesn't really write music. He has been schooled a little bit, but he really relates to spontaneous way of making music. So I suggested that Vangelis and myself will get together and we'll switch the tape on and make music. We won't talk about what key, what style, or anything. We'll just do it. And that's how we make music.
I'm sure you still have some contact with some of the members of Yes.
I saw Steve just before they set off on their tour with Asia. I saw Alan White just before Christmas. And Rick I saw about 3 months ago. Chris is the only one I haven't seen. But generally, the attitude was the very, very same. We missed each other. Maybe Yes, we'll get together because it's the right time, that's all. I don't think it'll be for any other motive. Because nobody knows who John Anderson is really. I'm either a country and western singer or I failed to be a president, you know.
That was Ry Cooder. Never had huge commercial success, but the critics love him. And the gentleman who appeared with him in that video of, shall we say, switch-hitting persuasion was David Lindley, of course, lead guitar player for Jackson Browne's band on the albums and on tour for many, many years. We'll be back in a flash, so see you in a second. That do it for another show. It's time to squeeze me back into the corner. There we go. Thanks again for all of the calls and all of the letters and the antibiotics. You people are just unbelievably fantastic, and I mean that from the bottom of my cold. So next week we've got another good show for you. We've got Pat Benatar and Paul Collins and Devo and much, much more. So in the meantime, take care. Have a great week. Aloha. Bookum Dano, Video 1.
I know we only paid $10 for it, but sell it to them for... Hi, folks. I'm Lonnie Gibson of Senorita Motors. Do you have slow credit, medium credit, fast credit, no credit at all? Or maybe your credit is so bad that you need a cosigner just to buy a pack of gum? Then come here to Senorita Motors. We'll sell you that car that you need. Of course, you're going to pay $30, which is compounded hourly, but we know you have no choice. Now, if you don't see the car you like here on our lot, just tell us the make, the model, the color, and the year, and even the license plate number of the one that you've seen, and I guarantee we'll have that car here for you the very next day. So ask for me, Johnny Ramora, at Senorita Motors. That's me, Freddie Leach at Senorita Motors. This week we're at South 19th Avenue and Baseline.
You're going to hear from my lawyers now, and I'm not messing around.
Well, that's it for you, Pat, baby. Take easy credit and hit the trail, pal. We don't like to be threatened at Wavelength. Well, we saw Chrissy Hines and the Pretenders, Tattooed Love Boy, Stray Cat Strut with the Stray Cats. That was a good one. Yet to come, we've got the John Anderson interview we're going to be taking a look at and hearing from Saga and also Asia. So stick with us here on Wavelength.